Believe it or not, we are a quarter of the way through the NASCAR Cup Series season in 2024, 9 of the 36 races. And I think at this point, it can actually be argued that there is enough of a sample size to put a grade forward. And like I've done in previous years, I want to put mine forward, because obviously I would know, right? Well, let's get right on into it because we got a lot of people to talk about, starting with the Trackhouse duo. Ross Chastain this year, while only having one top 5, has seemingly been up front way more than his one top 5 would show for. And with 4 top 10s and being in the playoffs at the moment, it really looks like he's on the verge of finally getting a win again going into the summer months of 2024. I can't say that he's been one of the elite guys, but look at how much probably the Texas finish skewed just how good his season would have looked had he finished second or third. I'll give Chastain a B. And as for his teammate Suarez, well, Suarez has 2 top 5s, and those being his only top 10s of the year, he did get a win. And I think that on its own, being locked in the playoffs and having probably been in the playoff battle had he not even gotten the win just based off points alone, I think he can get a B-. Now, for the Penske trio, Austin Cindric to start out with, a C-. His Atlanta top 5 finish is it. He has been subpar even compared to Penske standards and Ford standards that have been a bit lowered this year, and I think he needs a lot to prove that he deserves the 2 car heading into 2025. He gets a C- from me. Ryan Blaney, on the other hand, has a good amount of top 5s and is clearly the top Ford driver. He's solidly in the top 10 in points, and he is probably the only Ford guy that you can think of that would, on a regular basis, be a realistic shot at winning. I'm going to give him a B on the year so far. Then Joey Logano, well, he started really slow, and the glove did fit, so NASCAR could not acquit. And Joey would basically start off the year in a bit of a hole when it came to that. But he has, in recent weeks, started turning it back on and gotten back up into the playoffs as of the moment, based on a tiebreaker, that is. And I'll give him a C so far. I expect more from the 2-time champion, but he might be able to deliver. For RCR, you have Austin Dillon. Have you seen him? Because I haven't. I should file a missing person report, D-. Kyle Busch, on the other hand, is currently out of the playoffs. He is that other driver that is tied with Joey Logano for the final spot, but he loses the tiebreaker. And he has just seemed off this year. Even when he's fast, the pit crew screws him over, and he and this team, I think, should be put at a high level because Kyle Busch is one of the best drivers in NASCAR history. C- so far, and I think a lot of Busch fans would agree. SHR is an interesting cookie, though. Josh Berry in his rookie year so far hasn't really done much to be noticed, but he's run in the top 15 to 20 a lot, and I think that even though that 4 car was much better last year, when you're replacing a Hall of Famer or future Hall of Famer in Kevin Harvick, you kind of have to be given a bit of grace with it. I'll give him a C just because he's performing about how SHR has performed the last couple years, but he needs to improve a lot. Noah Gragson, on the other hand, while 30th in points, should not be there based on the penalty he had. He's performed much better in recent weeks than I think SHR and fans would expect him to. He has 2 top 10s on the year, and it seems like every week he's in the top 15. I'll give him a B- because he is exceeding expectations. Chase Briscoe is currently really exceeding expectations. He's got 4 top 10s so far this year, and having been up in the top 12 in points, he is solidly someone who we can say off points could make the playoffs even without a win. Briscoe by no means is somebody that I think should be a championship contender by any means, but he's somebody I could easily see in the round of 12, so I'll give him a B+ so far. And then there's Ryan Preece. While only having 1 top 10, his 24th place points standings at the moment honestly doesn't show just how much better he has been. It seems like he is another one that is top 15, maybe running around 12th every week, so I'll give him a C+ so far this year. I do think he needs to do a little bit more, even though he is the second highest to SHR in points. As for Hendrick, everyone gets an A except Alex Bowman, and I'll explain why, because I don't think Bowman's been that bad. They all get an A in some way. Larson and Byron, they get solid A's. They both have multiple wins. They both have the most playoff points, some of the most laps led, most top 10s, most top 5s, you name it. They are some of the ones to beat. They're probably 2 of the 3 drivers to beat this year. Chase Elliott gets an A-. He broke through and got a win, and I think he's been much better than people think. He's actually higher than William Byron in overall points in 4th, and I think that he deserves more credit. Alex Bowman, I think he gets a B. Actually, I'd say this, a B+, because coming off of a bad season where he's recovering from a bad back injury, I think he's recovered quite well. And if you take away this Texas race, which again, we don't grade on a curve here, but if you do, well, the season leading up to that was not that bad. 3 top 5s and 4 top 10s on the year matches Chase Elliott, and in top 10s matches Kyle Larson. He's just lower in point. RFK is another one that's kind of interesting. Brad Keselowski, I think going into the year, would be expected to be the one to break out and win a couple races. And he's got a good amount of top 5s so far, but being 17th in overall points makes it difficult. I will give him a C because he has performed just average, but I think that this team has potential after showing this week to just come up and steal a win. Chris Buescher, well, he's another one that I think has been really consistent, but he has not been competing in the top 5 enough for me to give him an A. I'll give him a B so far because I think he's been very solid, but I just don't see him right now being as good as he was last year. And then to close out the first half of this video, we got Spire. Corey LaJoie has a C. He has done exactly what you would expect of a Spire driver, and while 29th in points is a bit lower than last year, I don't think anyone is looking at him and saying that he is vastly underperforming. Unlike his teammate Zane Smith, who's 35th in points. Straight up F. Carson Hocevar, on the other hand, I give an A. And listen, he's 22nd in points, I get that, he's not very high up, but he is driving a Spire car as a rookie. And he is 22nd in points with the top 10, and he is outpacing both the guys that are his rookie competition and teammate Zane Smith, as well as Josh Berry. Entering the second half of the video, we'll go to Joe Gibbs Racing. Denny Hamlin and Martin Truex Jr. to me get A's. Hamlin an A, Truex an A-. And the only reason I'm putting Hamlin above Truex is that he has those 2 wins. Yeah, the top 10s aren't there in particular against Truex's top 10s, but he was able to close out the deal, even if one of those was probably not supposed to be if you look at Richmond and should have been Truex's. They're both in the top 3 in points, and I think that Hamlin is one of the 3 guys to beat, and Truex is an easy 4th at the moment. They easily get this A. As for the B's, that is Bell and Gibbs, both, in my opinion, getting a B+. Bell has a win, and being in the top 10 in points, even with some bad runs in the last couple weeks, has shown that he can go up to be as high as his 2 teammates. I think he just needs a little bit more consistency, but this is a second half of the year team. And then Ty Gibbs, in his sophomore year, is not experiencing a sophomore slump. Sure, the last couple races haven't been that good, but at the same time, he is still almost in the top 5 in points and has been fairly consistent. I think Ty Gibbs is the next driver to score his first win. Rick Ware Racing with Kaz Grala and Justin Haley both get a C, 32nd and 33rd in points. Though they look faster, it's just the results aren't there yet because, well, everyone's faster right now. Colleagues Daniel Hemrick gets a D-. Another person I need to file a missing person report on because I haven't seen him all year, and his 31st place in points shows that. Harrison Burton for the Wood Brothers gets a straight up F. I don't know how he does it, but each year seems to get worse than the last. And yeah, you could be like, well, he made that really cool move for the lead at Texas, a race he ended up finishing 29th in. The results have not been there for the young Burton, and I'm really hoping that he can turn it around because if not, he could be somebody that's booted after the season. As for the 23-11 duo, they are not going to get booted. I think they both get a B so far, but they are both solidly in that category. Bubba Wallace so far this year has probably had the best start to a season of his career. Wallace tends to struggle in the first half of the year and then try and dig himself out of a hole in the second half, whether it's by the team's doing or his own. But this year, they've pretty much stayed out of trouble. And being 9th in points so far and a second half of the year driver, there is an outside-the-box chance he could be a round of 8 contender. And once you get there, anything's possible. Tyler Reddick gets a B+. He has been one of the most consistent drivers in NASCAR. He just needs his team to take him over the edge. There are plenty of races to be grabbed, and at this point, they're just giving up a lot of free points. Now, Front Row, on the other hand, has had a lot of flash, but not a lot of the glamour when it comes to results, both of which get a solid C for me. They're performing about how you expect Front Row to be, and had this been 3 years ago, I'd be impressed, but they've raised their bar, and so have I. Michael McDowell has 2 top 10s so far this year, but it seemed like that team is just a little bit off compared to the last 2 years. Todd Gilliland had a solid start to the year, but has generally floated to the middle of the pack. He's had flashes, but those flashes have not led to great results. As for Legacy Motor Club, they both get C's as well, but I'd say C+, especially John Hunter Nemechek. Nemechek's 2 top 10s are actually the best of the team. He's top 20 in points in a car that last year wasn't even in the top 30 for half of the year, and I think that he can improve even more as well. He seems to be a better rounded driver. He just needs to get out of that middle of the pack scrum. Same for Eric Jones. Jones has been in that fringe points playoff contention talks, but at the same time, you're going to have to get a win and take that step up. Joining Toyota might be able to help, and I think it's a solid start for the year. And that leads to, last but not least, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Stenhouse last year was somebody that, even with the Daytona 500 win, was able to rise to be a top 15 driver. Has that translated to this year? No, it has not. While he has a top 10 and 1 lap led, overall, this season is a regression back to the JTG mean. 27th so far on the year. While I'd be a little more lenient to a Front Row or a Legacy, JTG jumped up so much last year that I think that being around the top 20 should be expected. So I'm going to give him a C- to end off the grading scale. And there you have it. My grades for the 35, 36, however many full-time drivers that we have had so far in the 2024 season. Now, I want to hear from you. Let me know down in the comments below the grades you would give for any of the drivers or just for your favorite driver. Let me know. Why did it? Leave a like in this video, share this video, and subscribe to this channel for more great and fun NASCAR content. Thank you so much to all my channel members for your continued support, and be sure to watch the Alabama 500 tomorrow night on IDK Player's YouTube channel. I'll be co-commentating, and it's going to be a blast. So, until next time, have a good one.